Hello. Now that I'm back in Japan and now that I've recovered from COVID, I've decided to start, I don't know, working towards a goal, I suppose you could say. And that is something that I've talked about quite a few times on this podcast in the past. It's my weight, or specifically how I think I've been a bit heavier than I would like to have been. Although, to be perfectly clear, if you look at like BMI, the body mass index, I was nowhere near any like dangerous zones or anything like that. I was in the sort of normal, healthy green zone, and maybe I think towards the middle, or maybe like just over the midway point. So according to like BMI and everything like that, I'm a completely healthy weight. The only reason I wanted to lose weight is because I could see it all. I could see a lot of weight just around my stomach area, which I've never really had at any point in my life before. It just sort of happened. When did it happen? It can't have been that long ago. A couple of years ago, a few years ago, probably a couple of years ago. It just came out of nowhere. Really weird. It could have been what they call middle age spread, which is, I believe, when you hit a particular age, around a certain age, and your metabolism slows down, and you start to put on weight more easily. It could be that. Although it might not be. Maybe it's just like dietary related, related to my diet. But anyway, it really did reach like a peak when I was in England, and I just said, right, as soon as I get back to Japan, I'm going to start, sort of like on a diet, but not too seriously, because like I said, I'm not really that big. But yeah, when I was in England, there's loads and loads of food surrounding me that I like, and to be perfectly honest, most of the food was bad. All these kind of things that I hadn't been able to eat for ages. So more than usual, I think I was consuming food because I'd go to a supermarket and I'd be like, oh, look, I haven't had this for years. Let's just buy some for old time's sake, just to relive the memory of what eating it was like. So it wasn't necessarily food that I even needed. It was just food that I wanted to try again. So that definitely didn't help. And then some of the food I was eating was things like cheese, like lots of types of cheese that you can't get here in Japan. I can get, I think, 2 types of cheese easily. No, 3. Okay, 3. Maybe 4. But they're all very expensive. One's like a red sort of cheddar. Which is okay, but it's not as good as red Leicester that we have in England. The other one's like Edam. The other one is like Camembert, and the other one is like a blue cheese. And those are the only types that I've seen over here. So of course I was looking forward to trying things like Wensleydale, which I would say is probably one of my favourite cheeses. It really is a nice like crumbly, slightly sharp flavoured cheese, but still quite mild. Anyway, I don't want to make the whole episode about cheese and things like that, but there you go. There's things I was eating like cheese, not good for you. What else was I eating that was bad? Probably stuff like crisps or chocolate bars, which I normally wouldn't eat, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't usually buy those things regularly at all. But since I was back in England and I'd be shopping with my wife sometimes, and I'd say like, "Oh, look, have you tried these before?" And of course she hadn't. So, don't sell them in Japan. So I'd buy them so that she could try them, and I'd end up having some as well. So yeah, beer. Oh yes, beer, of course. Yes. That's also not good for you, and that contributes to you putting on weight. And I was drinking a fair enough amount of that. Trying all the really nice English ales that we have. But it really did reach a culmination. It reached the sort of, that tipping point when I measured myself on a weighing scale. I think it was around August, and I was 67 kilograms, which might or might not sound heavy to you. It sounds heavy to me because I happen to know that for the majority of my life, I've been around 62 kilograms. Actually, it would have been probably under 62, come to think of it. I just remember, I don't know why this moment has stuck in my head, but at my first ever job, I used to work as a web developer, just a single web developer in this like textiles factory, which is a bit weird, just working on their their external website, the public website. And in this office I was in, there were these sort of like digital scales on the floor. I'm guessing they were for measuring parcels or something like that, but they were quite like heavy duty things, they were quite serious looking scales. And I just happened to step on them the one day and noticed that I was 62 kilograms. And that's 62 kilograms fully clothed, of course, with shoes on and everything. So it would have been less than that. But I think I remembered that because normally we don't measure our weight in kilograms in England. We use stone and pounds. So, I'm like 10 stone 8 or whatever it is. Bizarrely, I don't know my own weight in stones and pounds at all. All the other members of my family know their weight in stones and pounds. And so when I tell them I'm so-and-so kilograms, it means nothing to anyone. And we have to always convert it. I mean, part of that is just me being awkward. I've decided, no, I don't like stones and pounds because it's sort of like, base 12. It's based on a system that's divided by 12. I prefer metric kilograms, base 10 system. So, it's based on dividing by 10 groups of units of 10, I should say, which makes a lot more sense to me. And, now that I'm in Japan, I don't think my weighing scale can do pounds and stones. And if it did do pounds and stones, I'd have to tell it to do UK pounds and stones because I believe the US ones are different. So the whole pounds and stones thing, the imperial measurements, I should say, they're a real mess. They're not even standardized all over the world, so it's just really confusing. So I try not to use them as much as possible. Anyway, for some reason, I just remembered this number, 62 kilograms. And every now and again, as I was, growing older, I'd weigh myself and I'd switch the, the weighing scale over into kilograms, which is, most of the weighing scales in the UK, you can switch them. And it would say 62 kilograms. And I think, that's odd. I'm the same weight that I've been since I was, how old was I then? I don't know, 16 or something like that. So I just think like, my weight hasn't changed at all. And it didn't. It just stayed the same for years, up into like my late 30s, just 62 kilograms. So yes, to me, being 67 kilograms is, that's a lot of extra weight. It's like an extra 5 kilograms of surplus weight that I don't need, that's not really doing anything helpful. And it all appeared to be sitting on my stomach. And I didn't know, I wasn't too bothered about it. I'm not too like image conscious, I don't think. I was a little bit conscious of the fact that, when I was wearing a t-shirt, I think you could begin to see a bump. It was beginning to look like I was a little pregnant. My wife, she really didn't like it at all. And I don't blame her. And apart from my stomach, I could also see like a bit of weight on the tops of my arms as well, and a bit of weight in my face. But personally, I thought that the weight in my face looked quite healthy. I think if I go back to 62 kilograms, then my face looks very thin, and I think that makes me look older. But there's pros and cons, I suppose. Apart from like the visual appearance, there's also health concerns. I have heard it's not good for you to have too much weight around your stomach. So I think that's one of the main drivers for me. It's like I don't need this extra 5 kilograms. I don't really like the look of the extra 5 kilograms anyway. My wife doesn't like the look of it, so let's just get rid of it. But yeah, 67 to me is quite heavy. So that was the point. I just decided, right, when I get back to Japan and I won't have access to all of this nice beer and cheese and all the other bad food I've been eating, then I'll do something serious about it. So I am going to start. And once I've figured out exactly how I'm going to do it, and once I've started this process, I'll give you an update and I'll let you know how it's going. Okay, that's been today's episode. Until next time, bye-bye.